Well, in 1992, I started Arc Technology, fresh out of Circuit City. Got tired of the typical big store mentality. I started my own company, and I ran that pretty successful over the years. And then, man, I went to a couple trade shows and started talking to people about how I was doing Haas and selling managed services and service agreements at the time. And 2007, started CharTec as a product of my technology company, and as time progressed, people started liking what we were doing. We incorporated CharTec in 2010, got involved very heavily with ConnectWise, and brought out this entire marketing and sales methodology to the MS community hot and heavy in 2010, and been going strong ever since. So this whole technology thing is kind of a side gig. My passion is I charter fish in Cabo San Lucas. I run a boat. I run a professional marlin fishing team for all the tournaments in Cabo San Lucas. We fish for marlin, we fish for tuna, we fish for wahoo. And it's awesome because I get a lot of my companies that I train with here in the States that come down and visit me, and we go fishing and we have a great time. April 5th was my anniversary. 2 years ago, I was challenged with a medical condition called the ruptured aorta. Threw me in a coma for 30 days and was supposed to die, and for whatever reason, I guess they knew I had a sales lab to teach or fish to catch or something, but I was after waking up from the coma and learning to walk, learning to eat, learning to swallow, and getting my weight back and my motor skills back and everything else. I've now been alive for 2 years since then. Well, I'll tell you what, when you have a near-death experience, and hopefully nobody has had those or will ever have them, it does change your perception of life. I know everybody's heard this, but it is no bullshit. It tells you, it makes you really, really think about what's important, what's not important, and you know, what you want to concentrate on. You know, my entire life, I've always thought I lived a great life, and you know, if I were to die now, that I would be pretty happy because of all the things that I've accomplished, or things that I've done, fun, kids I've raised, whatever. But don't let anybody ever tell you that. It is so far from the truth. After I woke up, I still didn't know if I was going to make it, and all I could think about are all the other things that I still wanted to do, the people I still wanted to hold and kiss and hug and be with and share experiences with. So it was definitely an experience I don't ever want to go through again. So when we started doing Sales Lab, and the reason why we started doing Sales Labs is most trainings are always done at a 10,000 foot view, ours included. So we needed to bring something with a little more depth, okay, and a little more intensity to get the message across and make sure that our trainings were not just presentations to the MSP community. So with Sales Lab, we went from 10,000 feet all the way to 50 feet and really take and own that salesperson for that week, from the sales process from the beginning all the way to the end. And when we started doing that, that's when we started seeing results with the trainings that we were doing. So, you know, we are not politically correct in this training. You know, there are words that fly. And you know, in all fairness, I let everybody know in the beginning, because here's the deal. We're going to be running 10 to 12 hours a day, and it's 4 days straight, okay? And it is up to me as the trainer to keep everybody engaged. You cannot stay engaged following this black and white rules of bullshit society that tells you what to say and what not to do. We got to keep people up. We got to keep them thinking. We got to surprise them. You know what? And if we got to throw a couple cuss words in there, or we got to venture off into some shaky ground, or even have that one person we've identified that we're going to throw under the bus and all fun, that's what keeps everybody laughing, keeps everybody engaged, and not drifting off to La La Land. So it's, you know, it's kind of like an R-rated movie. You know, there's no nudity or nothing like that. But you know what? If you do have a sensitivity meter built into you, you really gotta lower that shit down to get through this class. Because I don't want my students to get hung up on a word or two and then miss that entire message that's going to change their life and their tax bracket. So day one of Sales Lab, I guess the main goal is first and foremost to make sure that we have the right people in the class, because this class is not for everybody. And there are some times when after day one, we go up to the students and say, you know what, this just really isn't for you, because the next 4 days are going to be pretty darn gnarly. And that's where we start on the methodology of what we're actually going to be training with the sales process that we teach at Sales Lab. So at the end of day one, I'm hoping their mentality is, wow, this is not your mama's sales class. This is something that I have never ever seen or been to. And so far so good. Over the last 400 people that have been to Sales Lab, that's exactly what they think. They now know that they are in something that they have to perform in, not just show up in. And you know, it's funny, man, at the end of the first day, and sometimes that first day will go 10 to 12 hours, their brains are full, and the first thing they're thinking about is resting up for the next 4 days. So day two, Sales Lab, they know we're not screwing around. They know what's happening, and now they're starting to see the light, okay, at the end of the tunnel of how things start to formulate with the methodology and how it relates to the actual sales process. They're learning techniques. They've already been broken out of their shell. They're over the fear factor of failing. They've now realized that this is completely different. I mean, why shouldn't it be different? Nobody wants to spend money for a training to learn shit that they already know, right? So they're realizing this, and they're like, they're starting to grin. They're starting to love it. They're loving the abuse because they know they're being put out of their comfort zone. So day three starts to get a little more scarier. We start to do a little more role playing, and the salespeople that are in this class that make it to day three are now seeing that they can't bluff anything. Okay, it is 100% up to them to start regurgitating, repeating, and showing off what they've learned. Kind of like a do or die, you know, this is now I got to show my shit. I've been talking, I've been telling everybody, I've been learning, I've been doing it. Now I got to show off what I've been learning. Day four is all practice. 100% practice, practice, practice. And then they do the final presentation. They're all prettied up in their suits and their business suits and their shoes and their belts, their hair is combed, and they're going in front of the camera to actually pitch a managed service deal with the company that has been hired throughout the entire process for the discovery and the other closes and everything else along the way. Now they're going to pitch it, they're going to hear these objections, and they're scared because if they don't pass, if they don't close this managed service deal on this final day, they don't graduate. And for some salespeople, they go back with their tail between their legs and sometimes not even a job. So what separates CharTec Sales Lab from other trainings in this industry and other industries is this sales training is not just a generic bullshit training. We're not here just to teach you this methodology and then it's up to you to apply it to whatever you sell. I train managed service salespeople. That is it. That's what we train. We take the method of question-based selling and marry it on how to solve the challenges that managed service salespeople have every single day during the sales process. Okay? Now, with that being said, it is also just not a training. It's very interactive, and we actually do the entire sales process from beginning to end with actors and actresses as the company sits in that you're actually doing the discovery with. You're actually closing the first appointment with. You're actually presenting. They actually have to buy from you. This is a real life reality type scenario, okay, that no other sales course does. And they can't because it's so resource heavy. But when you're done with this sales training and you graduate and you've been put through everything that we put you through, out of your comfort zone, okay, got your hands shaking a little bit, you got butterflies turning when you're doing that final presentation and those tests, when it's done and you pass, when you get back to your business, these sales guys can actually do a presentation and a discovery without their boss, without their owner, without somebody holding their hand. You don't see that nowadays.